amakuru yo mu mahanga kuri Radio Imanzi.
This is Radio Imanzi, broadcasting from Kigali. Here is the news in English, brought to you by Fiona Umuganwa. The headlines. Prosecution finds no reason for Sesabagina to have a reduced sentence for serious crimes. Juvenile rehabilitation centers in Rwanda are changing lives for younger people. Talks underway to avert healthcare crisis after hospital cut ties with 3 insurance firms. The United States has ordered the families of its diplomats in Ukraine to leave the country due to the continued threat of a Russian invasion. Now the news in detail. Prosecution finds no reason for Sesabagina to have a reduced sentence for serious crimes. Today, the prosecution appealed again that Paul Sesabagina be sentenced to life imprisonment. The prosecutors had called for hefty penalties, including life imprisonment, during the trial on first instance, but the High Court judges issued reduced ones, mainly basing on 2 mitigating factors: the cooperation of some defendants and the fact that majority of them were first-time offenders. During the hearing at the Court of Appeal, prosecutors questioned the validity of the mitigating circumstances on which the High Court based to hand the convicts lesser sentences back in September last year when issuing the verdict. The prosecution alleges that Sesabagina's crimes are serious and that he did not plead guilty so that there was no need to reduce his sentence, as was the case in previous trial. Paul Sesabagina was sentenced to 25 years after he was convicted of being part of a terror group as well as committing and taking part in terror acts. Prosecutors argued that there was no ground for not giving him the maximum sentence. Juvenile rehabilitation centers in Rwanda are changing lives for young people. Those who have been in the rehabilitation centers testify that they have changed their lives and have learned skills that help them to employ themselves and earn some income. Deputy Director General of National Rehabilitation Services says that the lessons they give at the centers help the juveniles return to society as decent citizens. The National Rehabilitation Services has established 3 centers, namely Iwawa Center, Nyamagabe Center, and Gitagata Center. National Rehabilitation Service authorities call upon all Rwandans to join forces together to eliminate any factors that expose children to the risk of delinquency. Rwanda Utilities Regulatory Authority has advised traders to display gas prices where they can easily be seen by buyers. RURA has started inspecting gas prices on bottlers, wholesalers, and retailers. The cost of gas to the buyer should not exceed 1,260 Rwandan francs per kilogram. The wholesale price should not exceed 1,220 Rwandan francs per kilogram. And the factory prices should not exceed 1,151 Rwandan francs per kilogram. Nyagatare district authorities plan to have a girls' room in every school. A girls' room is a room that is used by girls for sanitation purposes when they go into their monthly periods. There have been some growing concerns that some schools in Nyagatare district don't have this room. Nyagatare district authorities say that this problem is going to be taken care of as soon as possible. 2 cells in Zahaha sector, Rusizi district, namely Rwinzuki and Nyenji, have been given access to electricity. The Executive Secretary of Green Cell, Ntwari Emmanuel, says that development activities have been slow compared to other regions of Rwanda because of the lack of electricity. The statistics by the Rwanda Energy Group Limited show that the last year, 2021, ended with 68% of Rwanda households connected to the grid and off-grid electricity. The government of Rwanda continues to work towards access to safe, reliable and cost-effective energy as essential bedrock to achieving the levels of growth defined in the National Strategy for Transformation. The government's general target is to connect all Rwandan households by 2024. Talks underway to avert healthcare crisis after hospitals cut ties with 3 insurance firms. The government has intervened to help avert a potential healthcare crisis after the Rwandan Private Medical Facilities Association decided to suspend services to patients with insurance policy from 3 firms. Private medical health providers on Friday, January 21, resolved to terminate their contracts with Radiant, Sanlam and Britam effective January 25th over non-payment. This means that hundreds of thousands of patients might be turned away starting tomorrow unless they pay the full amount out of their own pocket. Tarsis Muhunga, the State Minister for Primary Health Care, said that they are having a meeting today about the issue and will communicate the solution before the deadline set by the association. It is understood that the meeting involves representatives of both the association and individual health care facilities, as well as officials from the Ministry of Health and National Bank of Rwanda, the regulator of the insurance sector. Now some items of international news. Burkina Faso President Roch Marc Christian Kabore has been detained following the heavy gunfire around his residence on Sunday night in the capital Ouagadougou. Shots were heard late Sunday near the president's home after soldiers staged mutinies at several barracks to demand the sacking of the country's military top brass and more resources for the battle against Islamic insurgents. The United States has ordered the families of its diplomats in Ukraine to leave the country due to the continued threat of a Russian invasion. Russia has been gathering tens of thousands of troops on its border with Ukraine, along with an arsenal of tanks, fighting vehicles, artillery and missiles. The movements have ignited stern warnings from Washington and Europe, but so far intense diplomacy has yielded little results. Washington has urged U.S. citizens in the Eastern European country to consider departing now, saying it will not be in a position to evacuate them after any possible incursion by Moscow. Now the review of Rwanda Stock Exchange on 24th January 2022. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 25,294,000 Rwandan francs worth of bonds traded in 2 deals on the fixed income market and 245,000 Rwandan francs from 2,000 shares traded in 2 deals on the equities market. As the share counters closed, Bralirwa closed the counter at 125 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 125,000 Rwandan francs from 1,000 shares traded in 1 deal. Simerwa closed the counter at 120 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 120,000 Rwandan francs from 1,000 shares traded in 1 deal. MTN Rwanda closed the counter at 180 Rwandan francs, Bank of Kigali at 250 Rwandan francs, I&M Bank at 45 Rwandan francs, Equity Bank at 440 Rwandan francs, Kenya Commercial Bank at 370 Rwandan francs, National Media Group at 1,200 Rwandan francs, Uchuri Supermarket at 104 Rwandan francs, RH Buffalo at 526 Rwandan francs as the market closed. This is the end of tonight's news. Have a very good evening.